Hello, welcome to Vanessa Loves, a place in where we have conversations about what really matters. And these conversations are with those people who are aligned with the vision of a world in which we feel deeply connected to self, others, and the planet. And today, Vanessa loves Lisa Bevan. Thank you, my lovely, for joining me today. Oh, it's always such a pleasure to just be in the same space with you and just have conversations, like I say, about what really matters. So tell us about yourself and just why you do what you do in the world, why it's having such an impact.
Okay, so I guess it's probably best to start with what I've been doing for most of my life, really. So, you know, my career throughout the years has always really focused on change, whether that be in a business sense, and the majority of my work up until probably about 7 years ago was about transforming businesses and working with business people and companies that were going through a big amount of change, and to work with the people in the business to take them through the change. And then about, like I said, about 7 or 8 years ago, I had some challenges of my own. I was starting to get stuck, and I then started to get anxious and started to really develop some mental health challenges, really. And I didn't really want to go down a conventional route of going to the doctors. I think the main reason was I was scared. I was really scared of what was happening to me at that point in time. And mental health really wasn't so kind of in the public domain back then, really. It wasn't quite so accepted. There's big stigma attached to it, wasn't there back then. So I really didn't really have the confidence to go to the doctor and talk about it. So I found, I went on some training courses, some personal development training courses, and it really changed me as a person, my outlook on life. It gave me a structure to how I could think. I started to learn more about how my mind worked, and I just had an understanding of why I was feeling the way I was feeling and why I was behaving the way I was behaving. And that then led me into learning about NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, and I started to do some more holistic training as well around, you know, different massage therapies and stuff like that. That was then kind of moved into coaching and working for a charity that works with veterans. And I still work with them now, and I absolutely love that work because you get to work with people one-to-one, who are really kind of like to help them through troubles that they're having in their lives, and to kind of look at emotional things in their lives that maybe are stopping them and helping them move forward. So I've done that for a number of years, and now I've kind of added an extra layer on now because this whole mental health awareness piece that's coming up at the moment, which is really prominent with what's going on in the world at the moment. I'm a mental health first aider with Mental Health First Aid England, and I'm also an instructor for Mental Health First Aid England. So the difference is administering first aid to someone who maybe is experiencing some mental health challenges, and an instructor would be someone who would train mental health and certify mental health first aiders to do that.
So you've really gone full circle. So from being in corporate and having quite a powerful position and helping people through change in their business, but also understanding that change comes with them first, to now leaving corporate and actually doing this as Lisa Bevan on her own. What is mental health first aid?
So mental health first aid, best way to really explain it is it's a lot like physical first aid. So I think most of us, if we were walking along the street, we see someone trip over, they hurt themselves, they cut their arm, we would know pretty, you know, basic first aid. We would know what to do, even if we wasn't a qualified first aider. If someone was having a heart attack and you saw someone clutching their chest in the street, you would know instantly what to do with them and for them. And mental health first aid is very similar in that respect. I don't think the majority of us would know what to do if we saw someone having an anxiety attack in the street.
No.
Would we walk up to someone who maybe is having a psychotic episode?
Well, no, because
maybe we wouldn't.
maybe it might not be that obvious. It could be seen as just having an anger or frustration, but equally it's not. We're not trained in it.
No.
That if you cut yourself, and also if physical things happen to you, you know how to first aid yourself.
That's right.
Or you know how to first aid others. Right? So again, if you cut yourself or you burn, it's hot water or ice packs, or if you've got a headache or whatever, you sit and close your eyes. But if it is mental health, it's not something that's at the forefront of any of our education at school.
No.
We're not taught, and it's almost invisible, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does it show up in our behaviour, which is then what makes it obvious? Is that kind of...
Yeah, so when you train as a mental health first aider, you learn about mental health conditions. So things like anxiety, depression, psychosis, all the way through that spectrum to suicide.
Yeah.
And learning about that, because it is a spectrum, right? Let's just be honest, everyone has got mental health.
Yes.
It is a spectrum of, is my mental health at this point in time good, or is it not so good? And what can I do to keep that balance? Because everyone has mental health. It's not something that, you don't have. We all have it. It's like we all have physical health. If we don't go to the gym, we're not gonna be slim. We're not gonna have the body we want. We're not gonna feel fit. We're not gonna have energy. If we don't give our mental health focus, then it can deteriorate, and sometimes lead to certain conditions. So the first part of it is really learning about mental health conditions and diagnoses, and then really starting to recognise signs and symptoms in other people, then knowing how you can help them, and being able to signpost them. When you're helping them, it's in the moment though. It is first aid, remember that as well. It's not that you're going to be a qualified therapist to understand how to provide therapy to someone. It is about dealing with situations in the moment and then signposting them to the relevant agencies or medical staff that can help give extra help.
That makes perfect sense. So literally, when that person is in that state of panic, anxiety, or maybe if you see a girlfriend or a friend or family member really retreating and becoming very introvert and very insular,
yes,
is the initial step to be able to help, and like you say, vent, to put them in the car and then point them in the direction.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's so much help out there now.
Yeah, but is there perhaps maybe so much help that I don't actually know where to go, because I don't know quite what it is I'm struggling with, and like you say, it's become ever such, not so much now, but it was a taboo subject.
And I think there is still stigma attached to it.
Oh, massively so. And I think it's helped with people speaking up about their own mental health, especially those people that are in the public eye. So, for example, like Prince Harry, right?
Yeah.
Classic, and Lady Gaga and people like that, because we look at people, especially in the limelight, and go, they don't have any issues, everything's all right for them, it's okay for them, because until these people speak up in that truth place, in that vulnerable place, and actually say, yeah, I have this is my issue, this is what I felt, this is what I found, this is how I help myself. And that's where I suppose all these charities like Mind and places like that, and we're able then to get the right sort of help. So what is it you're finding, because I know you studied this work for a long time yourself, whether it be personal development or your own mental health, what is it you find that is so valuable about this work, the mental and emotional health, that is so relevant to the situation we're finding ourselves in now with this national global pandemic?
Because I think firstly, people haven't experienced this in their life before. This is quite unprecedented, isn't it? That word keeps being used. This is unprecedented times. but the effect of us not being a social distancing, isolation, you know, changing everything that we know in our day-to-day life, our routines have changed, that our relationships with our parents, you know, have changed, our close family members have changed. That has to have an effect on us mentally, and we will see the ramifications of this, I'm sure, now, and when we start to reintegrate with people in our families and wider communities and society. So I think, you know, learning about our mental health and being able to support people around us at this time is really, really crucial for us to be able to, you know, cope better with the situation we're in now, and actually reintegrate ourselves back into whatever the world is going to look like when we come out of this lockdown period that we're in at the moment.
So do you think it's fair to say then that the situation we do find ourselves in is really highlighting the problems and the issues we have with our mental and then subsequently emotional health? Because I know in the last, well, 3 or 4 weeks we've been like this. I know I have experienced it. It's really, what's the word I've used? Activated. This pandemic has been the catalyst of still more stuff, and there always will be, because we're never done, are we?
Yeah, no. We've always got stuff.
It's always just going to keep coming back round. But just maybe to less detrimental effects, the more aware you are of it and you know how to help yourself. But it definitely is activating our deepest fears, our deepest, I suppose, our struggles that we don't know that are there, because a lot of this is unconscious. A lot of it is, you know, it's unconscious. So therefore, it's not in our mental forefront, right? So therefore, this national global pandemic is really shining a spotlight, isn't it? Going, hey, girl, you need to work on this. And is it fair to then to say that generally humanity doesn't know quite how to deal with that? So dare I say it, this is a really powerful time for you and your work, and those of us that are really enjoy this work, because we know how liberating it is and how free it is and how healing it is. Isn't this the time now to really just share and educate people into what mental health is, what it looks like, how to help themselves? Because I think people understand that their behaviours, especially when it is devastating or crippling or bad behaviour, they don't understand that that's a form of mental health.
Absolutely, yeah. And there are things you can do to take responsibility for that. It feels at the moment very much that things are outside of our control. And I think that is a massive thing for people. It feels like my freedom's been taken away from me, everything's changed in my life, and that is just, it shakes people. Those are people who, and I'm talking here about people who maybe haven't experienced, you know, their poor mental health in the past. What about people who have condition, you know, who do experience anxiety and depression, who are isolating at the moment? I mean, the support for them, obviously, they will have some support, but we take for granted the fact that, you know, I'm of good mental health at this point in time. I look forward to my daily exercise, where I can go out and I can go for a walk, and my kids can be on their bikes in front of me and we can have a nice time together. What if I was so anxious I didn't want to leave the house?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, the fear that it's really activating within you, and it's really helping people understand that it's okay. I think that's the other thing, is that in my experience, if I have got caught up and I don't understand what's going on, and therefore then that helps me feel rubbish, you know, anything other than lovely, that's not a nice feeling to have, is it? But no. We don't know how, we think that is bad, therefore we are bad. It's not, it's just a bad feeling.
It is.
And oh gosh, it's so powerful really to be able to help people understand that there is a way that they can help themselves, and that they are actually a lot more in control than they think. So what would be for you some really simple things for people to become aware of, but also how they can then help themselves if they find themselves thinking that, feeling that, behaving in a certain way?
I think if you're starting to feel consistently low,
Yeah.
consistently anxious, and I'm talking about over a number of weeks,
Yeah.
not, you know, we're all going to have down days. We're all going to have days in this period of time where we think, oh my God, I've had enough of this lockdown. But if you can bring yourself back, if you know what helps you with your mental health, do that. You know, people being able to self-manage is amazing. But if you're starting to see patterns of behaviour where you're consistently down, you're consistently anxious about things, you don't want to go out, you're starting to feel fearful about things, then there are a number of things that you can do. I think, firstly, trying to formulate some kind of routine for yourself. You know, try and normalise this situation as much as you can. Try and do get up in the morning, do have a shower, do wash your hair, do put your makeup on, do find things that you can do to keep yourself occupied. I think, you know, getting out in the fresh air. If you could, even if you can't, if you haven't got a garden, open your windows, get some fresh air, reading books. There's a wealth of things on the internet at the moment where people really genuinely do want to help.
Yeah.
You know, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, all of those great things that you can just go to YouTube now and just type in, you know, look at the great things that Joe Wicks is doing at the moment with children and their mental, you know, that is helping their mental health as well as their physical health.
Yeah, because it's
undoubtedly
releasing all those fabulous endorphins, isn't it, in your body? Of course, energizes us and helps us feel better. And anytime we feel better, we naturally think better. The problem I find, do you think, is that when people don't feel great, they can't think greater than their environment. They can't think how they feel, and it's.
I think one of the things with that at the moment is limit the information you're receiving.
Massively.
Because it's everywhere. You switch on the TV, you pick up your phone, you switch on your laptop, whatever it is, you're getting information about how terrible the world is at the moment. Okay, read the news in the morning, get the information you need and turn it off.
Yeah, so have snippets of downloads, but then just make sure, yeah, and especially if you are going to do that at the end of the day, make sure you do something for your well-being after you've watched the news. So you're going to sleep after watching the news. It's something I call marinate your mind. If that's going to be the last thing you think about is the pandemic and
lay there asleep for 8 hours. Yeah,
absolutely. Or if you get to sleep, because I know when I'm working my mind, and it can just keep me awake for hours and hours and hours. And I also think that, you know, you talked about being shaken up, and I the analogy I had for that only actually a few days ago is, you know, those old snow globes we used to have as kids. Like our lives and humanity, not just you and me, but our, you know, humanity is running at such a pace, 100 miles an hour, that when you stop that immediately, it's just going to upset the insides of your car, right? So like a snow globe is being shaken up, and then the snow is settling, it reveals the picture. I'm finding, or the thing I'm finding, others are having a problem with that because they're not sure they like what it's revealing.
Yes.
And I think that's where we are literally being stripped back. Our mental, the way we think, or the way we thought, is being revealed to us. And then people don't know quite what to do about that. And I think that's where this mental health first aid in the moment is going to be so powerful.
Yeah. And actually, there are some positives as well, because I think some people, everything's settling for them. And I know I've been quite enjoying spending time with my kids and thinking, do I really want to be spending so much time? Oh, I love what I do. Do I really want to spend? They need me as well, you know, and just having that time every day to go out and have some exercise with them and just enjoy those times. I think my priorities in life are going to absolutely change when we start to go back to normal life. And I think the changes that I will make will help my mental health.
Massively so, massively so. And it's almost like I used it when in a conversation this morning, the analogy of a merry-go-round. How many of us secretly wished or just said to ourselves at some point in our lives, I just wish the world could stop. So I can get off, yes, I can get off and then collect myself, do what I need to do, get to the end of my to-do list, blah, blah, blah. You know, we've said that to ourselves, either out loud or to ourselves. And we've got what we wished for. We've got what we wished for. And it's needed this to be able to stop us on that merry-go-round. And then we think, and then I'll collect myself and I'll get back on. And the image I had this morning was like, I don't want to get back on as it was. Because where I firmly believe is the old structures that got us to the point as to where we are now, and then COVID-19 happened, there's this massive void that we're all in at the moment, and we now have a choice as to how we now move forward. And I think it's really important that, and especially with the line of work that you're doing, is highlighting the fact that people have that choice. That's our prerogative is the right word. That's what us human beings, that's what makes us different from every other species on the planet, is the fact that the ability to think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, and yeah, so it's, how can people find out more about what you do, and if they're thinking, gosh, this I really could really do with some mental health first aid, where would they find you? What would be the best way for them to learn more about how they can help themselves?
Okay, so if they want to get in contact with me directly, I would suggest emailing me, and my email is all lowercase, LC for Catherine, Bevan, all one word, at hotmail.co.uk, or just direct message me through social media. We've got a new website that's been built at the moment. Yeah.
I'll put your email in the comments anyway with this post, because I want to share this, because all of the conversations that we have primarily around this subject or to do with this vision is really just to help people see that they're not alone.
No.
We're all experiencing some level of that spectrum, and we all will, and it's up to us to just become aware of where we are on that spectrum, isn't it, and how we can help ourselves.
Yeah.
So, with the line of work that you do, and I know you are so passionate about it and it's so much needed in the world right now, how do you see this work having a positive impact on our future? What does our future look like and feel like to you? Who were really able to get on board with their mental health and keep themselves well in their mental health?
I mean, I think there's been so much stigma attached to mental health for many, many years. If we could just stop the stigma around it and get people talking about it, the world would be an infinitely different, better place, wouldn't it? Because people would feel confident to go and get the help they needed, and it would just normalize the conversation. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. And I think the raising awareness of mental health and showing people where they can go to get help is just going to make people, more balanced, in their conversations about mental health. People who are experiencing poor mental health will be able to have access to maybe medication, whatever it is, or alternative therapies alongside the medication, and support that they need to just help them, really, to just help people feel that it's okay to feel that way.
We are normalizing the whole mental health conversation, and to make it totally okay, in effect giving people permission to feel safe in speaking up about how they feel, even if they don't know how they feel, because just by definition of ignoring it, not talking about it, denying it's there, is only going to build up and create more discord, more disharmony, more disconnection within themselves, and then of course we know in others, and then the wider world. So
Yeah.
just by creating that place, that space for people to say, yeah, I think I need some help. Can somebody have a conversation with me?
Yeah.
Is going to unite people. They'll feel more
people.
Exactly. And we know the beauty of what can be achieved and what we can create when people are strong mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, they're connected well. That, you know, when we all come together in that place, it who knows what we can create. So the future can be, you know, more harmonious.
And we're starting to see that, right, with community, the community spirit in what we're seeing now. I bet there are people who, you know, are talking to their neighbours who they hadn't spoken to their neighbours before, maybe, and making connections over, you know, I've seen lots of, you always see negative things on social media, but I've seen a lot more positive things on social media as well. So actually making those connections, the communities that people live in, people being able to express themselves a little bit better and just feeling connected, I think is hugely important for people's recovery, because there's always hope with mental health.
Absolutely. And just in that connection, isn't it? You just feel stronger when you feel heard, or that you feel that you have been able to talk up about it and actually even understand what's going on for you. You feel so much stronger. And then
absolutely, yeah.
In that place, then, oh, anything can happen, can't it?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Oh, thank you, my lovely. Well, thank you for pointing out that there is such a thing as mental health first aid. I didn't know about it until I began talking to you about it.
Yeah.
And learning more about it, because I think the more of us, especially the first aid bit, actually, you really open my eyes to that. It's how we can help people in the moment, and I think that's where people struggle most.
Yeah.
Don't like the feeling, and it's squashed again. And
absolutely.
They're never going to get the help they deserve and they desire if they are not able to speak up about it. So the more people that know how to deal with it in the moment is
absolutely, yeah.
Is where you are, or you're going to be able to offer courses where people can learn mental health.
Yeah, so throughout the year, I will run a series of mental health first aid certification courses. They're 2-day courses, and they'll be run throughout Hertfordshire, and just in the area of Hertfordshire and London. And really, at this point in time, I have got some scheduled for May and June, but because we are where we are, we can't really do it. It is a face-to-face course and we need to be together in a room. It's actually quite activity-based. So, you know, there's some group work. So doing it virtually, Mental Health First Aid England have kind of said, you know, we can't do that virtually, really. It needs to be
follow you, they can learn when you are doing the course.
Absolutely, yeah. So connect with me, you know, on LinkedIn or on Facebook or Instagram, where we post this video. And yeah, absolutely. Or send me a direct message, and we can connect that way. If you don't use social media, email me.
Absolutely. Oh, fantastic! Thank you, sweetheart. As ever, it's a joy to catch up with you.
You too.
Lisa Bevan. And thank you very much for joining me today on Vanessa Loves.
You're welcome.